The Simpsons Hit and Run, Ratchet and Clank Going Commando for PlayStation 2, Robin Hood Defender of the Crown, and Homeworld 2 for the PC.
First game we're going to talk about, we're going to get right to it. This is called The Simpsons Hit and Run. It's a brand new game from Vivendi Universal. It's out for the GameCube, but also for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. What'd you think of this one, man?
Well, the Simpsons license is notorious for making the worst copycat games ever of all time.
Absolutely.
They failed miserably with wrestling. They failed with skateboarding.
Road Rage?
The Crazy Taxi ripoff.
And that one actually gave us Road Rage when we were playing the game.
Well, now they're copying the Grand Theft Auto license. Yay.
Which is a kind of a brilliant idea because the Grand Theft Auto games really open the door to this sort of genre-busting style of gameplay. So it makes a lot of sense that game companies are looking at that for how to make their games now.
Nice way of saying that they've completely ripped off Grand Theft Auto.
They completely have ripped it off. But I don't mind because I love Grand Theft Auto, and in the process of doing that, they've built the best Simpsons game we've ever played.
The big story, though, is the voices. It really, this time around, paid attention to detail.
2, 4, 6, 8, you suck, I'm great, da 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 da, you are.
I like when he says, jerk ass! He calls somebody a jerk ass, and or he'll hit something and say, oh, my ass.
Right.
I mean, that's gold right there.
Anything ass-related, and he's sold.
That's
you
right.
Got him right there.
That's right. I thought the music was also really well done. You really get the sense of the whole Simpsons license and, and the themes and everything. But aside from that, all of the other music, they kind of put in this cool jazz and a bunch of different styles of music in the game, but they were extremely well done.
I love all the little in-jokes that you get as you're racing through. You go into Homer's office in the plant there, and it's like a shrine to slacking off, you know? Like, he doesn't want to do any work at all, and I think he has to go kill some generators just to cut the power so he can avoid work at any cost.
I'll tell you what I love doing. I love going into and changing clothes.
Right.
One of the first garbs I got into was the laid-back, just Homer in the underwear.
Just the Ginch look.
Freezer burn on my beard.
You can hop out of your car. You can do these platform-style jumping action element things. You can beat on the little buzzing bees with the cameras that are flying around all over the place, or smash the security vans that are in the way, or race Smithers in his limousine.
Smash him up.
He's trying to smash him up. The one thing about this game, though, it's not quite as open and
no, well, Springfield's relatively a small place.
It is, but they've broken it up by levels. So you beat a level with Homer, and then you go on to a level with Bart, and a new area of the city is open. It's not as big and wide open as Grand Theft Auto or Jack 2 or something like that.
The game overall, though, you have to know that it is definitely not as polished as Grand Theft Auto as far as the gameplay and things like, you know, the collision detection. But again, it's this kind of cartoony, funny world, so you don't mind that as much.
I had a great time playing Simpsons Hit and Run. I'm going to give the game 8.5 out of 10.
I'm giving it an 8.
On the positive side, the game features all the voice cast and the writers from the Simpsons TV show. The game offers a great mix of platform-style action elements and carjacking. But really, the best part about this game is being able to race around inside of a huge 3D Springfield. Great stuff here.
On a negative side, there isn't as much attention to detail, and it's not as highly polished as, let's say, a Grand Theft Auto. The challenge level seems to be a bit on the younger side, and the worlds themselves aren't as large or as wide open as they are in other games like this.
Let's stick with cartoon action, and let's go on to Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. This one's from Sony for the PlayStation 2. What'd you think of this one?
Now, does this mean that Ratchet isn't wearing any underwear?
I don't know.
Going Commando.
No, I think what it means is that they're going much more hard edge with this guy. This is the Diablo of action-adventure cartoon platform-style games.
Say what?
You know what I mean?
No.
Now, all you do in this game is collect new weapons and gadgets and items and new things to help you kill the little creatures better, you know? And that's what you did.
Which is kind of what you did in the first game.
Well, yeah, but now it's like amped to 175%. They've got so many new gadgets and so many new things to do in this one. It really is amazing.
But a lot of what you're doing is shooting and then sucking bolts down your throat.
You are collecting a lot of bolts, and it's these golden bolts that are your money in this world. So you collect bolts, and then you can go buy new guns. Lots of killing. Okay,
Yeah.
there's no other way around it. There's lots of little creature baddie
Kind
type.
of got a little repetitive to me though after a while.
But the
It's
thing
very
is,
well done. Don't get me wrong.
I would, you
Got
know,
a little
I played
boring
the,
a little bit. Would you say?
I would say that at the
Little
beginning
bit?
of the game,
Little
it does get
boring?
repetitive. The threshold that I crossed was when my gun suddenly morphed. The more you use your weapons in this game, they upgrade. And it changes the appearance, it changes the ability, you can have more ammo in it.
Well, I guess for me, I really got to be in love with the character, you know?
Right.
Like, I mean, like, are you going to go out and buy the Ratchet toy?
Well, after
Clank
playing this
toy?
game, I would. Yeah,
Okay,
look,
sorry, I asked the wrong person. I'm sorry. Would you guys want to go out and get the Ratchet
Listen.
and Clank toy to put on? No. they
I
didn't.
was as skeptical as you were. I wasn't that big of a fan of the original Ratchet and Clank game. I thought it was a little by the numbers. This game brings a lot more gameplay to the table. They fixed all the little sort of, you know, slippery control problems that they had with the first game. There's more mini games. They call them maxi games in this one. Clank is actually really cool in this game. He's always been my favorite sidekick, and the reason why he's got all these different abilities, he can go up and mind control these little tiny microbots. Clank is a great character.
But don't you think that the whole bolt collecting thing gets a little tired and old? I mean, every single thing you hit or kill,
I'll say this.
bolts fly out and you suck in the bolts.
I think it's really weird that, like, these little cute rat-like creatures, you kill them and bolts fly out. And, like, where were the bolts before? They're like little...
They were stuck in their ass.
Well, something. I do have some complaints. One of them is the level design. It's the same team that made Spyro has made this game.
Insomniac.
Right. The levels are all very similar to the way they designed the Spyro levels. It was a circuitous, large environment. Circuitous, like a big circle-y type area.
Circuitous?
Circuitous.
Right.
I still had a great time with this game. I think you should pick up Jak 2 first, but this is still a very fun game. 9 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 7.5.
On the positive side, this game features a ton of different weapons, items, and gadgets to collect. The graphics in this game are sensational, especially those busy city environments. And Clank is still one of the coolest sidekicks video games has ever seen.
On the negative side, the levels weren't as circulicious, or whatever that word is that he said. The characters and humor and storyline just didn't draw me in as much as I thought it should have. And finally, it seems like there's just way too many bolts.
All right, stick around. We're going to Sherwood Forest next for a look at Robin Hood, Defender of the Crown.
Ye old Robin Hood game thou art going to review.
Hey, it's a beautiful day out here in the woods, and I'm playing Final Fantasy Tactics Advance for the Game Boy Advance. I have to say, this game from Square Enix is probably the most advanced and deepest game I have played on this system. Very, very cool. It is a tactical strategy game, and what you do is you control these little characters in all of these different types of battles, and you control them one at a time. Each one of the characters has all kinds of magical abilities and combat abilities. You can carry all kinds of different items, pick up magic potions and stuff like that, which will heal your characters. The game is much more like a console game than a lot of the Game Boy Advance stuff that you see out there. It's even got a setting in the options to adjust all of the colors for your TV set. You can also adjust it for the regular Game Boy Advance or the SP, which is really nice. When you get into the battles, you actually have control of a clan of different characters, and every character takes their turn, and you meet up with other clans and you battle them. My only complaint with this game, I think, is the fact that the first time you power it up, it takes you half an hour to get into the game before you can save. So don't expect to be blowing through this one. I still really enjoyed this game. I think it's really a nice piece of art we're talking about here. It's called Final Fantasy Tactics Advance for the Game Boy Advance, 9.5 out of 10. Good job, Square. All right, we're back. We're here deep in the heart of Sherwood Forest because we're going to talk now about Robin Hood, Defender of the Crown from Capcom for the Xbox. It's also available for PlayStation 2. What did you think of this one?
I really wanted to love this game.
Yeah.
I looked on the back of the box, and I'm looking at the screenshots, and there's jousting, and there's sword fighting, and there's bow and arrow, picking people off, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be so cool.
Right.
And then you play the game.
This game is an update to a classic old PC game from a company called Cinemaware.
Done back in 1986, and let me tell you something, folks. It shows.
Right.
You know, it does a lot of these kind of, you know, there's a turn-based strategy RTS mode.
Right.
There's the bow and arrow mode, which is impossible to control.
Right.
There's the sword fighting mode, which came right out of 1986. But the thing is that none of these experiences were fun.
The sword fighting thing's a great example. You've got 3D characters, but it's on a 2D plane. You can't move away or get out of the way or anything like that. It's very, very basic. The thing that I thought was the most fun to play, but it was also the most frustrating, was the bow and arrow. I loved the idea of getting up on a treetop and shooting arrows at all these sheriff's men and everybody that's coming down the trail. That was fun. The problem with the thing is you can't change the controls, so if you're like the inverted sort of point and shoot controls like I do from the first-person shooter games that I play, you can't do that. The real-time strategy elements in this game, they're probably the lamest real-time strategy
it's
game.
from 1986. What are you expecting here?
You have little dudes, you have like knights or archers or guys with swords or whatever, and they all have numbers on them.
It takes place on a map.
Yeah.
Until the map rolls out.
And you have a few columns that you can battle your opponents on. It's so lame. There's no other word for it. I like what they've done to set up the whole sort of progression through the game, though, because it starts off, you're just in Nottingham and you're trying to fight the sheriff of Nottingham, and then you overtake that territory, and then Robin Hood gets pulled into this sort of larger battle that's for all of England, and suddenly you're in this game of Risk, Risk the board game. It's sort of like that. The dialogue was nice. The storytelling was nice. I like that it really brings you back into that time period.
I'll tell you, one of the best parts of the game, actually, is the music score.
The music's good.
I thought the music was really good. It's got that whole kind of medieval vibe going on. Now, there's 8 alternate endings in this game, which is great.
Right.
Commend them for that.
Which one was your favorite?
Oh, the fourth one. The fourth one was my favorite.
Yeah, mine too.
But the thing is, after you finish it the first time, there's no real incentive to keep playing it after you've seen the first. Like, you gotta start all over again.
You know what I would recommend, that if you're a really big fan of Robin Hood and you've been waiting for a game like this to sort of take you into that world,
keep waiting.
Well, you might want to go rent the game and just check it out. I think there's some fun little bits in there. I'm gonna give Robin Hood Defender of the Crown 5.5 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 3.5.
Woo! On the positive side, there are a bunch of different gameplay elements in there. The storytelling is very good, and the voice acting and music is also very nice for this game.
On the negative side, the game overall is very redundant and frustrating. There's not too much replay value, and you'll probably finish the whole game in about 4 or 5 hours. And everything about the whole experience seems a little dated, including the gameplay and the graphics.
All right, we've got a very innovative product to talk about today in our hardware reviews. It is a mesmerizing new mouse. It's from Nyko, and
breathe deep.
It's called the AirFlo mouse. And the thing about this one, it blows, this mouse. It has a little motor in there, a little fan, and it actually will cool down your hand.
First of all, if you're on your computer and your palms are sweaty, there's something wrong. I don't know what's going on
Well, people get anxious when they're playing their Quake 3s and their Halos and stuff like that, and they start slipping and like falling out of their chair. Well, now things will be a little calmer.
Now there's 4 blowing canals. I think we should point that out. There's also speeds. You can turn the air off if you'd like.
Right.
If you don't want to get blown.
The only thing about this mouse, I think it has like the first generation optical thing. It's one of those laser mice things where you don't have to have like the trackball thing.
This mouse has no balls.
You have to have a mouse pad or something, and I don't have any in my house, so when I took this home to review, I was putting it on my desk, and they're polished and
where your
clean
other
and stuff.
mouses work.
The other thing that you have to consider about this mouse is that it's not cheap. It's a $40 mouse. That's a little bit of change to drop on one of these things, so I am not going to recommend the device, even though I really like the idea.
Me too.
On the positive side, the AirFlo mouse actually blows air out of it. It's got a cool silver and black design and nice rubber hand grips, and there's actually 3 different speeds to the AirFlo.
On the negative side, the laser optical didn't seem to work on all our machines. At $40, it is a bit of an investment, and Does anyone really want to get blown by their mouse?
Stick around. We're coming right back with a look at Homeworld 2 for the PC. What you got there?
I got red ones.
Some dried up, nasty old...
And I got purple ones.
Don't eat those. Don't eat those. Crash Bandicoot 2 for the PlayStation.
Crash 2, this game, you gotta get. The effects and the graphics in this game are amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful game.
I like when you're spinning around on the ice and you can see the reflection in the ice. Yeah. You get on a boat in the water and you're tooling around in this boat. You have a jetpack. I mean,
the first Crash is one of the best looking games that's been produced. It still stands up. The graphics are great. And then what they've done is they've gone back, tweaked the graphics engine. The pipeline for the graphics is a lot faster. You can get more information in there. The textures are incredible. And the levels split off a little bit more than they did in the first game. It's not as linear as it was, which was my only beef with the first game.
You can... what about the analog controller, though?
Oh, yeah, the analog controller kills, man. You got to get one of those things. It's amazing. Yeah. Naughty Dog has totally gone up in my estimation. After seeing this game, they're definitely one of the best developers out there, man. They are really, really hot.
Well done, Crash.
I give Crash 2 a 9.8.
Crash 2, I give a 9.5 out of 10.
Cool. Here's a game from Sony, first party, called Primal. Now, this game was done over in Europe by the Sony team over there. And let me tell you something, Primal is an unbelievable game. It's like one of those games like Eco, where it just does a lot of things differently, you know, and revolutionary. Now, you play this girl, Jen, right? But you can also control her little sidekick that she ends up meeting. His name is Scree. The great thing is the cinematics and the voice work in this game are unbelievable. Some of the best ever done.
Say, mister, are you one of them badass rock stars?
Oh, Jen.
It's one of those games where you choose which character you want to do what things. Now, there's not tons and tons of fighting in this, and I wish there were more, but it's more about kind of exploring and trying to figure out which character to do what and where to go. The graphics were phenomenal. The music was recorded by a live orchestra, which is really, really cool, very intense. They also licensed some great hard rock new music as well. So anyway, Primal is definitely one that you want to pick up. It'll give you a completely new experience.
All right, we're back, and we're going to talk now about Homeworld 2. This one's for the PC from Vivendi Universal and Relic Entertainment. What'd you think of this one, man?
I gotta be honest with you, like, I just don't like these kind of games as much as I try.
Okay.
I don't believe.
First of all,
are you kidding me?
I loved it. Now, the big innovation that the original Homeworld game introduced was the fact that all of the gameplay took place in a true 3D space environment. So you could position your spaceship on a 2D plane, but then you could also go up or down on the Z plane and meet your opponents in different parts of space. And the thing with this game is that you're not controlling little orcs or little tanks or anything like that. You're controlling an enormous fleet of spaceships. You've got fighter craft, you've got bomber craft, you've got capital ships. There's never been a real-time strategy game like this.
StarCraft?
No, in StarCraft you're controlling little creatures, and they've got tanks, and they're on planets and bases and stuff like that. And it's not in true 3D space. It's a pseudo 3D world.
When the graphics are this bad, who cares if it's in 3D?
Are you insane, man?
This is a PC game.
The graphics are phenomenal in this game.
Phenomenal.
There's great lighting effects on all of the different ships. You can see every laser blast that hits every single craft. You can see explosions going off. Watching those capital ships explode.
Every game has lasers and explosions.
This is gorgeous.
I don't understand.
Not every game is in control of like 100 different spaceships flying around each other like that.
But you have to pull out so far that all you see is little green circles or red squares.
It's a strategy game. It's
so
not,
how is that
it's not an
great
air
graphics?
Combat game.
So green circles and red squares, that's great graphics.
That's one way to look at it.
On a 2D pasted background.
It isn't a 2D background. It's a complete 3D
one way to
map.
look at it, but that's the way you always have to look at it. Answer me this question.
Yes.
Did you or did you not think that this was probably the most difficult and tedious?
Not tedious.
It is if the developers never actually sat down and played their own game.
I think they played it so much they thought, oh man, People are going to love it, and let's amp up the difficulty because they're going to be addicted to this.
Not at all.
It's a very enjoyable game.
What about
you just have to have patience for it, and you don't have any patience.
Obviously, I don't have any patience because if something I put in I don't find entertaining at all, I don't find fun at all, of course I'm not going to have any patience for it.
The way I look at this game,
myself. If I have a pebble and it's in my shoe, I don't just get used to it. I take my damn shoe off, I get rid of the pebble, and I move on to the next thing.
Yeah, well, that's how you're treating this game, and you're not giving it the time that you need to, and there's lots of fun to be had.
Can we talk about the great music?
The music's fantastic.
I love the opening cinematic.
Yes,
it's kind of like
gorgeous.
This black and white 3D.
They've also improved the interface quite a bit. It's a lot easier to sort of get into the game. I also really like that they added a whole bunch of new ships to the game. I love the Marine frigate, which you can actually
friggin' Marines.
You can actually send the frigate in to take over enemy ships, and then you have control of those. Great idea there.
What was that word you used before? Circulicious?
Circuitous.
Circuitous? This is crapculous. Take out your...
Obviously, you need to start reading some more.
Take out your Tommy Thesaurus and look at crapculous. Whatever
you got to start reading some more.
I don't know what that is.
And trying some other types of games, okay?
I didn't like this one.
9 out of 10.
Oh!
It's a great game.
Homeworld 2 gets the 2.
Oh, man. You are punishing.
On the positive side, the graphics...
Wait a second. You hated... What? I'm doing the positives.
All right.
On the positive side, this game's got a much improved user interface. It's a lot easier to play this game. There are a whole bunch of cool brand new units like the Marine frigate. Although Tommy hated the graphics, I thought they were unbelievably cool. And the voiceovers and music are amazing in this game.
On the negative side, although Vic loved the graphics, I thought they were just okay and plain. This game is extremely difficult, but worst of all, if you're not into these games, I mean, this one is the ultimate bore fest. I felt like I was going to school.
Today on the show, we looked at the Simpsons Hit and Run for the GameCube. This Grand Theft Auto ripoff is actually the best Simpsons game we've ever played. There could have been a little bit more polish in the collision detection and the physics, though. On PlayStation 2, we reviewed Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. There's an amazing amount of variety and collectibles in this game, but the level design is a little bit formulaic. On the Xbox, we reviewed Robin Hood, Defender of the Crown. This is a game with a cool story and a nice collection of medieval activities. Unfortunately, those activities aren't that much fun. On the PC, we looked at Homeworld 2. This one's an innovative, stylish, real-time strategy game with a brutal difficulty curve. And Tommy, well, he just couldn't stand it. In hardware, we looked at Nyko's AirFlo mouse. This is a great idea, a mouse that blows. But what also blows is the optical sensor, which didn't work on all of our machines. On the GBA, I looked at Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. This is one of the deepest and most satisfying GBA games that you're going to find, but get ready because it's going to suck up a ton of your time.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. Unfortunately, we don't have any more time to review more real-time strategy games. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Loved that game, didn't you? That old type of gameplay to sort of jazz it up.
He should be dressed up in a elf costume.
Yeah, I know.
Running through the forest
Do you have
of
it with
merry
you?
men.
No. It's all right. Here we go.